Alright, hello and welcome everybody, this is Ace. In the last video we took a look at the warrior DPS and we fixed a couple of issues live, so I had no homework for this next video, which is fine. I still have the DPS meter over here from the last turn. Even though I fixed the heroic strike and some such, we can see that the hunter is still top DPS. You better get used to the hunter being top DPS. I don't know, he's a marksman hunter. He's not the cookie cutter BM spec, but oh well, he's still topping every meter. Well, not always. I mean, it's still a matter of gear as well, because they randomize within the gear within 10 levels. Who knows what you get, basically. So, you know what? Maybe I should come with the Paladin, dude. Maybe that's what I should do, so I can actually look at the spells while I'm talking. But last time we did Warrior, he didn't do as much damage as the other, as the Hunter. You saw the Paladin did pretty good damage just because he got a better sword towards the end. It's one of the cool things about upgrading their gear from whatever drops at the mobs. Literally, the Paladin was doing what? He was in third place after the DPS guys, and he picked up that sword. He dealt more damage than the warrior and almost as much as the hunter just from picking up that sword. So you call me crazy, but I just like that, man. It's like if you plan for it or you get lucky, you can get excited about stuff like this. One good weapon and you're just blowing a dungeon, and you can transfer your companions to someone else if you get lucky and your companions get super badass blue gear. By the way, the companions will never randomize with anything better than green, and they randomize within gear with gear within 10 levels. They cannot get better than green, so no blues, nothing. And yeah, their gear can be pretty meh. Purposefully made it that way. But if you get lucky and you either craft it or you find it, or I think that's crafted. Okay, so you can craft it, find it, or buy it from a vendor and nothing else. So you can't trade it, you can't keep it in the mailbox, you can't keep it in the bank purposefully, because obviously you're gonna abuse that, yeah. But if you get lucky and get some juicy weapon, then holy crap, it just it super tunes your companions. So I'm very happy about that. If you know what you're doing, if you have an Atlas loot and you're like, hey, this boss, the third boss drops some super cool weapon, maybe I should bring my warrior so you can get it, then I don't know, maybe you can look into it. You know the quest, Whirlwind Axe for warriors? I'm just saying, man, if you ever do that quest, you better bring some other 4 warriors with you, just so every one of them can get it as well. It's just, it's a little bit of fun, I think. But nonetheless, we look at the warrior. He did fine. He didn't do as much damage as the hunter, but we saw that what he did instead was a lot of thunderclapping and demoralizing shout. And you may argue about the fact that, well, of course he's gonna do less damage if he's gonna use so many utility spells. But did you notice that even though they pulled some big packs, they didn't come close to dying at all? Like, they handled 5+ mobs like absolute bosses. Yeah, imagine like this. Imagine that the Paladin tank from last turn had also demoralizing shout and thunderclap in his kit on top of everything else, provided for you for free by the warrior, man. I don't know. It's just a lot of goodness. So yes, is he gonna do less damage? Sure. But the companions don't have an ego, they don't care, they're just there to make sure that you succeed in whatever you're doing. And if you want to have the big dick DPS and smash the damage meters, then suit yourself and build for damage. This is kind of what I expect people to do. I expect people to follow their interest. I expect people to, meaning you, I expect you to go to Google and be like, hey, what's the top DPS for this class? Oh, you gotta play Beastmaster Hunter. Cool, let me go do that, right? So even though you won't be doing as much, you won't be providing as much utility, right? Even when people play, say, something like a Paladin, how many people off heal, for example? Not that many, right? You just want to go there and swing your hammer and just try to deal damage. I'm talking about like most people. I'm sure there's gonna be one guy out there like, no, I do everything. Sure, sure, cool, cool. Yeah, but I think the warrior will make a comeback. It's with melee damage dealers is very gear dependent. Just because there's such a wide variety of gear you can randomize with, you never know. So when we get to licenses, after we finish with all these dungeons, God help us. When we get to licenses and their gear will be static, then we can maybe do some better comparisons. For now, I'm just happy if they do their job and they use the spells they're supposed to be using, and they actually succeed. Right? That's ultimately all that matters. Um, yeah, I don't know. So we're gonna test the Paladin tank. We looked at him briefly last time, and he did surprisingly well. I think he did twice as much damage as the warrior tank, and that's always gonna be that way. I hate to break it to you. I don't know. Maybe you can correct me. Maybe I'm just doing something wrong with the warriors, but I don't think I am. Here's why. Because the warriors, what do? They sunder all the time. They do demoralizing shout. They sunder. And Revenge doesn't particularly do a lot of damage. They provide a lot of utility, but the spells that they use are great, don't get me wrong. Look, when you Sunder, just think that you're multiplicatively increasing the damage of your party, so everybody benefits, including your DPS guys. So it's very difficult to gauge, and you look at the warriors like, yeah, blah blah, but no, bro, he's sundering and everybody's doing like so much more damage because of it. Let me reset. Is there a reset all? I don't know. Reset items and reset spells and Exinit as a tank. I'm doing this just so I can look at the spell, so I know exactly what. Oh, so he does have taunt. I guess. Look, paladins are bonkers in TBC, alright? Just because they got one of the most bananas taunt in the game, and they got a lot of, I don't know, they just got a lot of goodies. The Bio Shield is great. Their damage, their AoE damage is as good as ever. They're tankier than they've ever been in vanilla. I don't know, man. It's just I don't know. Paladins are illegal, basically. Yeah, they're way stronger than I thought they would be. I got some. Hold on, give me a second. I got some real life technical issues fixed. Okay, so let's get ourselves a paladin tank. We're sticking to the priest healer again. I just want to have consistency here. We did rogue and we did hunter. Right, so I just want to have consistent parties, so we eliminate the variance out of it. We just know what we're dealing with. Let's set the bug on the tank. And Bob's your uncle. Actually, one thing I like to do, I like to give them these marks. You'll get used to them. If you watch my videos, you'll get used to why I'm marking them like that. Right, so the tank is always going to be marked with the circle. The healer is always going to be marked with the green, and the DPS is always going to be marked with whatever. The reason why I'm doing this is when they're fighting large groups of mobs, I want to track their movement to see where they're going and what they're doing. So if you're asking why, this is why. Am I missing something? No, he's doing Seal of Righteousness. I have the code here, but it's a lot of code to process while I'm recording this, and I'm trying to explain what I'm doing. I think one of the things I should say, right, he did blessings. So he did Blessing of Wisdom on the mana casters, and he did Might on this guy and Might on this guy. Perfect. right? Because this is supposed to give attack power, right? Perfect. So one of the biggest challenges with the Paladin is not even in the combat. In the combat, like the warrior combat is probably one of the more complex logic that I had to write. But the Paladin combat logic is not complex. It's pretty straightforward. Now, what it is complex though is the blessings, right? The blessings and the auras, that was really difficult, dude. I think I have improved it over how it works on vanilla because there are certain issues there. And it's not going to be obvious at level 14. Maybe I'll show you after we're done with all of this, after we're doing all the dungeons. I'll need to show you in a separate video some of the particularities because it always comes down to the small things. I know it's like, oh my god, most people will be happy if they just go in it, they swing the sword, but I'm not happy. It's like either it works perfect or it doesn't. I don't understand half measures. So I improved it over vanilla. There are still bugs on the vanilla server. Overall, they should just cast it better and more efficient. That's what I'm trying to do, just more efficient, and also to take into account the talents, because if you look at the talents, and they're not to be ignored, right? If you put 5 points into the Blessing of Might, how much do you think you gain by doing so? Well, you gain about 1 consumable worth of AP. That is not a little, right? When we're talking about a full raid, that is a giant amount, right? And you have the Paladin healer who has not just that one, but he's got improved Blessing of Wisdom and some other poops, right? So he's got full stack. So if you have a Paladin healer, he's giving you all the good stuff. So I had to teach them how to look at the talents, and, well, not even look at the talents, just look at the spell itself and apply all its modifiers and see if the spell they can cast is actually better than the other ones. Believe me, days of work on that one. I think I reached a satisfying conclusion. I think just the Paladin blessing logic is more like in volume, has a bigger volume in lines of code than the whole entire Paladin logic otherwise, the combat one, right? It's just crazy. But I think I reached the point where they actually do the things and they cast the greater versions correctly, and they prioritize the talented buffs correctly. Is it going to be ideal? Is everybody going to agree with what I did there? Hell no. Hell no. That's why you can you still have the option to set blessings, right? So you can still whisper them, hey, set blessing to wisdom, like set blessing. I know it's annoying because you have to do here blessing of wisdom, so you have to write blessing twice. The reason why it works that way, because first it looks at the arguments, right? Shit. Set blessing of wisdom. Let me show you the example so I understand what I'm saying. So when you whisper him, he splits what you're it's a string message, right? I know. If you're not the programmer, how do I explain that? I'm too stupid to explain in simple terms. It's just this text that you see here, and he splits it up by space bars, right? And he takes the first argument, he looks at set, and he goes into a block of logic that says, okay, now what am I setting? And you're saying, oh, set the blessing. Okay, cool, right? And that's why you have to say it twice, because this represents the actual spell. So when you say blessing of wisdom, he's going to look at all the blessings that he does know, and if he does know it, he's gonna execute it. If he doesn't know it, yeah. Could I have done so you only have to say one time blessing? Yes, but I mean, I could still do it, but it's still, I don't know, I can do it, but I'm not gonna, because it requires more work, and yeah, deal with it, it's your problem. Yeah, I can do it. It's obviously easily fixable with 1 hour of work. But let's say we set Blessing of Wisdom, and you see that now he's gonna cast Blessing of Wisdom where he can, but he's still following the rules, right? So for example, I said, okay, you should cast Blessing. Let me do something. How do I feel? Oh, perfect. Oh, and I don't have to do anything. I was gonna dispel them, but look, you remember that the hunter had Blessing of Might, and now he changed to Blessing of Wisdom. Why though didn't he give the rogue Blessing of Wisdom? Because I told him, okay, you should still take into account like common sense. You should still have common sense. Don't cast Wisdom on guys who don't have mana, right? It's logic. Normally he would have casted Blessing of Might first on the hunter because he can use attack power, but he also can accept wisdom for mana regen, so he did that. But well, it's kind of hard to demonstrate. You could set a second blessing, right? So set blessing, second blessing of might. He's not gonna do anything right now because one paladin can only apply one of his blessings at a time. Can I demonstrate this? Yes, maybe. Yes. Hold on. Dispel all self. I expect the rogue to dispel his Blessing of Might, and then I expect the paladin to cast Blessing of Might on him. What is happening? First, he's going to try to cast Wisdom on the rogue. He's going to fail because he has common sense. And then he's going to look to see if he has a second blessing assigned. And if he does, then he's going to do the second blessing. And he's going to reapply Might on this guy. Perfect. I hope it makes sense what I did here. I think we also have this explained on the wiki. If I know I'm not great at explaining, but on the wiki, the community contributes to the wiki, so they explain things maybe in a more understandable way. At some point, at level 70, after we're done with dungeons, maybe I'll make a video just to show you, like in broad terms, how those blessings work and all of that. But again, if you disagree with me, you can simply just assign them, and Bob's your uncle. Figure it out. All right, let's stop chatting. He's supposed to be doing the paladin. He's supposed to be doing Seal of Righteousness. He's supposed to be judging it. So how is he gonna judge it? He's gonna judge it like this. If he only attacks one target, like he is right now, he's only got one target to attack. He's going to judge Seal of Righteousness on cooldown, right? If he's got multiple targets, so if he's fighting 2 or more enemies, he's going to reserve judgment for until he loses aggro on one of the targets. So he's going to use judgment as a taunt, so to speak, because he does generate a lot of aggro, or let's say threat, because threat is the correct term. He generates a lot of threat with it. Well, he doesn't have the righteous poopy buffy thingy, I don't think so. Not yet, but nonetheless, he generates a lot of threat with it. That's why he keeps it. But otherwise, out of combat, he's going to be casting that all the time just to make sure he's up. When he goes into combat, let's also fight while I'm looking at the code. When he gets higher level, we'll talk about some of his circuit breakers, is what I call them, which is abilities that are defensive abilities, like Lay on Hands or Divine Shield, stuff like that. I call them circuit breakers. Kind of like you're breaking a circuit so it doesn't overload. I don't know, it's something stupid. Let's just call them defensive moves. It makes sense more to you. But right now, yeah, it should be pretty simple. Did I make him heal himself? Let's see. I think I have. He's also supposed to be using Greater Stone Shield Potion. And actually, I should make a note. I keep forgetting to do this, but I'm supposed to give all the guys, all the different classes, like potions to use. What's the problem with the potions? The potions share a category cooldown with all the healing potions and mana potions. Just most potions share a cooldown with each other. That's kind of the problem. However, I consider that using a Stone Shield Potion, right? So an armor potion, I think like the overall health that you gain, quote unquote, if you can call it that, by mitigating more damage is worth more? Maybe. Can actually I haven't done that mathematic. I did do some calculations about enchants for armor and health enchants at some point, but and I remember looking at the mana and the healing potions, and they're actually very insanely good for like how much you gain for the cooldown actually, as relatively speaking to something that gives you otherwise regeneration when we're talking about potions or just health from an enchant or stuff like that. So I don't know, it's rather arguable, but I would like to think that just overall it's more efficient if you give him the Stone Shield potion, because if he has higher armor, he mitigates more damage, and you have a healer in the group who's like decent and he gets the job done, then overall the group as a whole is served better, right? At least that's how I view this. Let's just try to push them. I said I was gonna push them more, so let them pull a little bit more. As you can see, the Paladin doesn't disappoint in damage dealt, and this is not exceptional. Again, you can expect the hunters to go stupid ways as always. I'm leaving that up to you. Of course, he pulled more stuff. Hunter be hunter, doing hunter things. In this case, I actually want them to push a little bit. You can see the hunter pet. He's actually taking some damage because he's tanking this stuff. The hunter pet is supposed to peel for the hunter with growl and everything. So I'm happy that that is the case and that's how it works. Again, he's going stupid ways. I'll explain more about how he's shooting and why does it... how come he deals so much damage? It's because he's pretty efficient with some of this stuff. Exactly, perfect. This is exactly what I want to say. You see that he was fighting this guy, and then he came into his dead zone, and then he started to shoot somebody else, right? That's on purpose, right? So this way he's not wasting time. Like, oh my god, this guy came in melee, let me go run even further away. No, stay where you are, don't move, keep shooting, find somebody else to shoot. What happens if all of these guys, like right now, would be in his melee range? He would just go at range. That's what would happen, which is exactly what he did. So he's pretty efficient. I don't remember if he works exactly this way in vanilla. I think I may have... No, I definitely made some improvements. Well, actually some downgrade because he's no longer considering... so in vanilla, I think I have a video somewhere on Discord. In vanilla, when he goes backwards or when he's trying to get range, so he goes out of the dead zone, I have a video where I showed with waypoints that he's looking at all the mobs behind him, or at the destination where he's trying to run. He's looking within like a 30 or 50 yard radius, and he's looking at each and every mob to see what their threat range is, and then he's considering it, and he actually computes where can he go. Like if you were to run forward here, he computes that, okay, this is the aggro radius of all these monsters, where like if I want to go that way, where's like a safe spot for me to go, right? So he can say, oh, here's a safe spot for me to go. Why didn't I do this on TPC? And I have no intention to do this because I want to give you fail conditions, so you have opportunities to fuck it up and wipe. And if you don't control your hunter and don't control your group, then you should deserve to wipe. The game needs a fail condition, otherwise you're not doing anything, and it's like, what are you playing? You're not playing a video game. I understand some people like to get carried. It's fine. You see, I'm literally just standing still and I'm watching them do it, and they fought how many? Like 5, 6, 7. There you go. They fought 7 monsters on their own, and they won. I think I was talking, I wasn't really paying a lot of attention, but the healer was almost low on mana. Everybody did their job. If I look at the... well, I can't really see it. I was looking at for gouges and poopy sense, but yeah, I guess gouge doesn't really do damage. Let's see, Seal of Righteousness, Blessings, okay. Oh, there you go, Holy Light. Let me see, because I was talking, again, I'm rambling a lot, and I'm just making parentheses into parentheses, and we're kind of just getting sidetracks. But I don't know. It's a lot to talk about. The tank is supposed to heal himself under certain circumstances, but it's very rare. It's actually very difficult to trigger that. Okay, so the tank is looking for, if he's below 50% HP, and he only has one attacker, so he probably healed himself at the end, as you can see. He didn't heal himself sooner, and this is like a big point of contention for me. Actually, I consider this a lot, and it's kind of one thing that bothers me that changed from vanilla, is that in vanilla the Paladin tanks had like a more, I don't know, more advantageous build path, I would say. And I tried very hard, but it makes no sense to go this way anymore, because in vanilla I would have to go 11 points into holy just to pick up consecration, but now they get consecration for free. I don't know, at level 20 or something. So there's no reason anymore to pick up spiritual focus, and spiritual focus was incredibly strong when compared with aura of concentration, which granted him 100% pushback immunity to heals, which means that what I do in vanilla, and this is exactly how it works in vanilla, he picks up all the monsters, right? So let's say he would pick up this group of 7 monsters, and when he had all of them like on him, right? So they would all attack him, or any other tank. It doesn't matter for him. So just as long as nobody is attacking squishies. So as long as they were all being tanked, he will look at his own HP, and if he was like below 70 or something, then he would just heal himself. Like he would drop consecration and then heal himself. Good luck killing that guy. He's got a shield, plate armor, defensive stats, defensive attributes. Yeah, good luck killing that guy, right? So basically, a lot of people like criticize dungeon companions, like the dungeon license, because why would I get that? And of course, if you're raiding, you should probably not get it. But the dungeon guys, because I build them on spell power and on high armor HP and spell power, which is really all you need in dungeons, they are so efficient at doing this, especially because they also use Edward the Odd, but that's like, that's not necessary for this to work. That's just a little bit of nice bonus. We should probably kill stuff while I'm rambling. But because that happened, you basically can do without a healer. You can even get an off healer, right? So you can get another melee paladin, or a ranged DPS priest, or a shaman type stuff, right? Someone who can off heal. And you had the paladin, he would just gather everybody with the consecration and then just start healing himself, like big whoop, and the guy was just like so crazy tanky. And I absolutely love that. I appreciate about vanilla that every tank has like a power fantasy, right? You have the warrior, and it's not even just about vanilla. Even if you think about classic RPGs, right? The warrior is the guy with the great evasion, with the armor, the guy who's, you expect him to be the tankiest guy in the bunch, and he is, right? That's the vanilla warrior. He's the tankiest guy, and nobody else should be that tanky, because what's the point? You have the warrior, and he fulfills that job and gets the job done, so who cares? And so you have the paladin, and he's not a tanky tank, he's a healing tank, right? He can heal himself, he can sustain himself through heals. You have the shaman, who's one of the, in vanilla as well as in TPC, the highest threat generating tank. He can also heal himself. He's got chain heals, he's got great utility. I mean, holy crap. I don't know, I just like shaman tanks. Sure, they can't tank raids, especially the later raids, but in dungeons they do great. And you have the druid, the bear, and he's the threaty tank, right? He's got the easiest time and the easiest way to sustain threat and generate it. So it's very easy to just, plop him into any situation. He's like, he's not gonna lose threat. He's great. Actually, the paladin tank in vanilla, I haven't coded it in TBC, but in vanilla he can do the blessing spam, and he actually does become in certain situations the highest regenerating tank, even more so than the druid, but it's rather inconvenient. It's very difficult to do properly, and I don't know. I think it's probably too much work for people, but you can actually do it, and it's a real thing, and it probably works just as fine in TPC. But I decided not to code it in because most people don't use that, so who cares? Why bother, right? And also, I just want to leave a little bit for players to do as well. I don't want the companions to do, especially all these niche things. I think players should do it themselves if they want to do it. Yeah, otherwise, the paladins can just tank normally, they'll be fine. I only did it in vanilla because they basically didn't have all the tools that the TPC paladins do. Alright, so he's going to heal himself when he has only one attacker. However, I did punch it in as well. I left the possibility open because if he does somehow have spiritual focus and concentration aura, then Bob's your uncle. Who cares? It doesn't matter how many attackers you have. And you might say, well, how the hell is gonna have that? Well, either through your legacy companion, or lo and behold, what if you have a paladin healer guy? If you have a paladin healer guy, that's exactly what he's gonna have. He's gonna have spiritual focus, he's gonna have concentration aura, and unlike on vanilla, I actually gave them their own, let's say, the best armor class that they can wear on TPC, right? So you'll no longer see on TPC warriors in cloth or anything but plate. You're no longer gonna see paladins in anything but plate. Obviously, at below level 40, they're gonna wear mail, but yeah, they're gonna wear mail and they're gonna wear shields. Well, not the DPS guys, but the healer guys will. They'll wear shields. And they'll have mail and they'll have plate, which means they'll be tanky. Which means if you switch one of these healer paladins into a tank, right, which is possible, you select the companion and you change his role, which is, I want them to be dynamically coded in their logic, not just for the legacy, but also just for this role switching, so they can be flexible, right? So if you hire, yeah, again, movement issues, we'll put up with them. If you hire a paladin healer and you switch him to a tank and he has spiritual focus, because when you switch his role, he doesn't switch his talents or his gear or anything else. So he'll have spiritual focus, and even if he switches his aura, I just tell them, whisper him set aura to concentration aura, and he'll be doing exactly this. Nothing stopping him. Sure, he won't have all the defensive stuff, but for tanking a dungeon, Bob's your uncle, who cares? And he'll just drop a consecration and then he'll heal himself. Or you can maybe just do a legacy companion where you go yourself into spiritual focus, and I don't know. I built the companion paladin tanks close to how a warrior would be built, so defensively, but you do have the opportunity to build them on spell power. I'm not sure if this is still a thing in DPC. Maybe it is, maybe you can do it. I'm sure it's still a thing. So you can definitely build them on more spell power and just try the spiritual focus out. I don't know. Either way, I coded it in, so if he does have both spiritual focus and concentration aura, then he can, yeah, he doesn't care. If he's below 50%, he'll just heal himself. Maybe I should make it 75% or something, I don't know. But either way, it's good stuff. So also he's still checking to see if everybody, all the mobs are being tanked. So he's not gonna heal himself while some mobs are attacking your healer or something like that. So he's got common sense, right? Also, you can see that the serpent is actually tanking, right? A serpent is taking damage. If you look at damage taken, I'm not really sure if this is showing me that the pet, because the pet is merged with the hunter here. So yeah, look, you see this, right? I mean, it's pretty great. You say what you want about the hunter, man, but this guy's pet is literally off tanking this dungeon. Yeah, the hunter, he's going sideways, blah blah blah, but look at the facts, look at the numbers. Numbers don't lie. He's literally off tanking this dungeon. He's growling, he's doing all the jazz, he's peeling not just for the hunter, he's peeling for everybody else. We'll talk more about it. um, when the time comes. And he's almost top DPS as well while doing all of that. Of course, it's all margin of error, because you remember in the first run, it was a little bit, the situation was inverse, where the Hunter was doing 5% more than the Rogue. Again, because their gear is so randomized that who knows, right? Look, he got lucky and he happened to have a level 14 main hand. And I also want to mention something, I don't know, just like fun trivia note. When I randomizer, I also rearrange their weapons based on which one deals more alpha damage, but it's not always possible. So, for example, if this was a main hand weapon, you see it's one hand, right? It says one hand on it, which means it can be used both on the main hand and on the offhand. But if this was a main hand weapon and it had less alpha damage than his offhand weapon, obviously that you cannot do anything about that, right? Or you can't change it, you can't swap those around. But if he has offhand weapons, then, you know, I'm just looking at them and giving him the highest alpha damage weapon in his main hand, because that one is used as a weapon percentage, I believe, or maybe not as a weapon percentage, but some of his abilities actually trigger his weapon damage, and yeah, that's his main weapon damage. That's just a fun trivia. The Hunter has a really shitty gun. So that's the reason why he's doing worse than the Rogue in this run, because his gun is shitty. So, you know. Hey man, look, you can also rehire, because I don't know, it's kind of a niche thing that people do in vanilla. I don't personally agree with it, because we look at the facts, right? I'm a facts guy, and we look at the facts, and what happens? They can do the dungeon. So why do you need to rehire this Hunter a couple of times so he gets a better bow? Who cares? He can still get the job done, which is exactly why I did this. It may seem counterproductive, but you see that in fact they can handle it, and from the point where they can just handle it to the point where it's really good and a smooth dungeon experience is where you come in, right? And that's kind of the point of this. I had to make room for you. I had to make sure that you matter. And you can matter, because I don't know if you're gonna matter or not. I guess that depends on your performance. Nonetheless, he's doing seals, he's doing judgments. I'm glad he got the taunt at level 10, that's cool. What else? He's doing his Hammer of Justice. He's using Hammer of Justice in a couple of situations, actually quite a few. Let me see if I can find the code so I don't talk out of my ass. I guess I could search for it. While I'm looking, let's just kill more stuff so you're not bored. We'll talk later about Blessing of Protection, Lay on Hands, Blessing of Freedom, Blessing of Sacrifice. Right, so Hammer of Justice. Basically, this is looking if any of the team members are attacked. And by the way, this is for all the Paladins, not just the tank. So all of them have the same peeling logic. And I really did try to improve the peeling logic in TBC as opposed to Vanilla. Where in Vanilla, I think the companions, I don't think it's actually the way. They're a lot more individualistic, and they only look at, hey, who's actually attacking me and should I CC them? Whereas in TBC, they just look at who's attacking the group. And if they see like, hey, this guy's being attacked and he's not a tank, then they go through their list of CCs they can use and they try to use them. Obviously, they got a shit ton of conditions, yada yada, but that's not the case in Vanilla. So in Vanilla, they would just try to Hammer of Justice whomever is attacking them, and them I mean whichever class, whichever role, right? But here they're looking at who's attacking anybody. So if anybody is attacking the priest, it doesn't matter that we're talking about the Paladin tank, healer, or DPS. each of them is gonna be like, yo, can someone's attacking my priest, can I hammer of justice his ass? Yes, boom, right? And this is not just for the paladins, all the companions do this now. So you'll just, I think this is probably why they're not dying anymore, because well, let's knock on wood, but on vanilla they did, I don't remember them handling this so easily, so smoothly, especially in this larger packs of 5, 6, 7. And I see them using CCs, right? So the rogue is doing gouges. I see the paladin doing hammer of justices. These other guys probably don't have CC, but the hunter pet is literally off tanking this this dungeon, man. That's not a small thing. That is not a small thing. Yes, you can criticize him for his positioning, but he's doing the things he's supposed to be doing. He's doing the things, so I don't know. It is what it is. And his damage is very good. Again, you saw he was attacking the Warlock. Warlock went into this dead zone, and then he switched target to somebody else. Boom. And that's how he's close to top DPS. He's just got common sense. I call the TBC companions with common sense. That's what I improved about them. They just have better common sense. I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of people, oh no, they suck, no, they go and they pull shit, but I don't know, just look at the Serpent. He's off tanking, man. It's pretty damn cool. When we look at the Hunter, when we turn on the debug for the Hunter, you'll see the pet casting spells as well, so you'll be able to track when he's growling targets and stuff like that. And we'll look, we'll spend more time trying to figure out what the Hunter is doing and his pet and everything. But he's literally off tanking, which is great. And if he's not, then yeah, that I'm not sure if it's 100% correct. It's still a little bit finicky, so that's why we're testing this, just to make sure it's all working good. But that's exactly the intention. He needs to be off tanking. Yes, he should be attacking what the Hunter is attacking, but if the group has attackers, right? If someone's going after your healer, if someone's going after the Hunter, whatever, then the pet needs to step in and growl and everything, do the things, and he is. I mean, the fact that he's taking damage and he's second at damage taken after the tank, I think proves that. When we look at the Hunter, we'll see if he's growling correctly or not, because I don't want him to growl, for example, right now, right? Even though apparently he may be. I'm not sure exactly. I remember I went back and forth a lot about this one. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe against actual raid bosses he shouldn't growl. I don't remember exactly. But I gave him some conditions for growling, and they were similar to... I love these item upgrades, by the way. I just love to see the big number increase, and everybody in this group benefited from it, including the tank, which is great. I mean, the tank replaced a 12 armor cloak with this badass cloak that gives him agility and strength. Perfect. Yes, please. I love these upgrades. Yeah. The Paladin doesn't really have a lot of spells except for these few ones that we talked about. He's doing Righteous Defense, which is the Taunt. The Taunt is really crazy for the Paladin in TPC. I mean, he taunts 3 targets. I think the problem is that it's not actually targeted in a sense, so I don't remember what the conditions are for the taunts. I don't think he picks at random. I think he may pick based on the order in which the attackers, like in the order in which the attackers attack you, right? So they get the first 3 and stuff like that. I'm not really sure if that matters that much. I haven't experienced any situation where it would matter, or I would think it should matter. So whatever. But it's very strong. You're literally taunting 3 targets, man. That's, and not just that, but it has like 30 or 40 yard range. That's crazy. Actually, we don't have to. We can just look at it, right? right? 40-yard range. 40 freaking yards for 10 mana. Come on, man. That is so good. What the heck? That's the best taunt in the game. But overall, oh, there go big pool, everybody. Let's watch the pet. Yep, the pet is going. He's peeling. There you go. He went for the minion. He's like, and also you notice that he went. Yeah, too many. Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, don't expect miracles here. They do what I perceive them to be, what they're supposed to be doing. But don't expect, I don't know, divine interventions here. Speaking of divine intervention, this guy got bubbled. You might argue that the tank shouldn't be bubbling himself, but just because he bubbled himself, he literally stayed alive. He would have been dead right now if he hadn't bubbled. He bubbled himself and he healed himself. That's in the logic, right? And now he laid on hands himself. If you were literally in this fight and you weren't staring at them as I do, I think he's about to die and lose here. But this is exactly, if you remember if you watched the first video and I told you, this is exactly what I want to see. This fight would have been won if you had participated in it, 100%. You could have made a difference here. The Paladin, okay, so let's see what happened. They pulled 2 packs of mobs. The healer obviously took aggro because shit, the Paladins have consecration, so how is he gonna hold 8 mobs, man? I mean, he taunted everything. The hunter pet went. Let me kill these guys because it's no point now. Shit, I don't have my GM spells. Oh, but holy shit, I shouldn't have killed this guy just to let the hunter do his thing. Man, the hunter is still fighting. Holy shit. Literally, you could have won this fight. You hear me? You could have won this. This is why I'm nerfing the companions as I do with the gear and everything. You literally could have made the difference. If we just review what happened, right? They pulled 2 packs of mobs. The healer took aggro because so many mobs, like what the fuck? Nobody could have done any better. This guy didn't have the tools to deal with it. He did pick up most of them. The hunter pet immediately went after the healers attackers. I don't remember if for that logic I'm also prioritizing based on healers and whatnot. I guess I could look at it. Okay, I'm just gonna look at it real quick. It's a lot of code. I'm sorry. Like it's gonna take me a second just to reacclimate myself with all this shit. I don't know. It's too much code to go for until I find that we're gonna be here 20 minutes. So, but nonetheless, the hunter pet went after the healer's attackers. He pulled the pet. I lost track after that, but I saw that part at least. I think stuns went out. I see hammers of justice. So obviously peels went out. What else happened? The tank, after the healer died, the tank bubbled himself. He's supposed to do that at 10%, and some people disagree. They're like, oh no, the tank should never bubble himself. Literally, he would have died. He would have been dead. You understand? Like, there's the difference between bubbling himself, and obviously when he bubbled himself, all the attackers went for the squishies. But after he bubbled himself, what he's supposed to be doing is healing himself. If I can, yes. So it's in the code. If he has a bubble, then he's supposed to be healing himself, and he did. He healed himself until he ran out of mana. He's supposed to remove the bubble at some point. I don't remember off the top of my head at which point. 75% or something like that. I need to look at the code. I don't know. I'm gonna be here 5 minutes because it's a lot of code to go over. So he's gonna remove the bubble. Well, let's just look at it because now I'm fucking curious. And sorry, but I'm curious. Okay, so at what point is he removing the bubble? Let me see. Ta-da-da-dum, ta-da-da-dum, ta-da-da-dum. The smell immunity aura. He's doing it at below 75% HP. So he's gonna heal himself. He's gonna keep healing himself until he runs out of mana, and when he reaches 75% HP, this is for all the paladins, right? Actually, it may be more than just the paladins. It may be, it's not just the paladins, because the paladins can do blessing of protection on somebody else, and it's the same thing, right? So let's say the paladin could have blessing of protection. I don't know if he did or not. I don't think he even has it. I don't see it, at least. He could have blessing of protection the priest, which is in the logic, right, to peel for him, and the priest could have been like, yeah, I'm full HP, I'm above 75%, so I can dispel that bubble. I don't think the healer would do it. Let me see. I see that I didn't say anything about who can do it or who shouldn't do it. I don't think casters should do it. Maybe make a mental note about it. We need to look into this a little bit more. I'm not exactly sure about the logistics there, because I didn't test it, though I thought about it a couple of times. What I mean is, when you bubble him, does he just completely lose aggro, right? Because if he completely loses aggro, he's like literally removed from the threat list, then he can remove the bubble whenever he wants, I suppose. Well, I guess he should still keep it, right? Because maybe he pulls aggro back, I don't know. So maybe I'm gonna put a little to-do note here in the code. I'm gonna say to-do, check if maybe casters don't need to remove the bubble at all. This is still a little bit fuzzy for me, because I am not sure if the bubble just makes you attack slower with the auto attacks, or I don't know what the deal is. I need to test this more. It's been on my mind, but I just never made the time for it. But nonetheless, the paladin tank bubbled himself. He was below 10% HP. He was about to die. He had a bunch of attackers on him. Guaranteed, there's just no freaking way he could have lived. He was gonna be dead, right? So he bubbled himself. He healed himself. He removed the bubble. He went back to pick these guys up. He actually did come back and group them all together. He tanked here for a short while. He ran out of juices. There's no off healer. There's no healing going out. So eventually he died. But again, all this time, if you were in this fight, you could have made the difference. If you are an off healer type, you could have healed him. You could have absolutely won this. And I'm sad that I started killing, even though I think they were almost dead anyway. Because I think the hunter could have literally just won this on his own. I don't know. It's I think it's pretty good. This is exactly what I want to see. Perfect. This is a perfect example of what I'm trying to achieve. If all the fights in this game could literally just go like this, obviously they pull 2 packs of mobs, so it's pretty. It's kind of, you shouldn't be doing this, obviously, right? But even if you pull 2 packs of mobs, man, if you're just doing your job, if you're playing your class, if you bring some consumables, right? Imagine, because I didn't use any consumables, didn't use any dynamite, didn't use any nothing, no enchants on the gear, nothing. If you had used any of this, would have made a difference. If you had participated in the fight, would have made the difference. You would have made the difference, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do. To put you in a spot where you make the difference. And what happened here, I noticed this a lot. This happens probably more than happens in vanilla. Because again, on vanilla, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, right? It was a learning process to try to figure out how much logic they need, what they need, figure out all the commands, all the stupid shit under the sun, write custom logic for bosses. I didn't know, right? And I gave them all, I wanted to eliminate gear and consumables as a factor. And I said, look, once I eliminate gear and consumables as a factor, then I know that all that remains is the logic. And then I wrote the commands and I said, look, if I give them the best general logic that I can, if I give them all the commands, all the gear, all the consumables, and they still fail to kill a boss in a raid, then I have to write logic for that boss, right? As it happened to be the case for Cthulhu, for Twin Emperors, for many of the bosses, right? Kel'Thuzad, all the jazz. I had to, right? So I eliminated the variables just to know where I actually had to write the logic. I'm not making that same mistake again. I don't care. They're gonna be the minimum minimorum that I can give them, so that you are put in this situation and you have to make the difference. I'm doing my best to give them to write as smart logic as my brain can handle, so they do the things, right? And you saw them doing the things. You saw the pet, you saw the paladin, you saw all these guys, the CCs, the things, the poops, right? They do the things. They just play correctly, but because of they're missing the stats, right? I don't know, it's still a stats game, right? So they don't have the stats and they fail. And that's where you come in. That's where you make the difference. Either you do it through consumables, either you're doing through your own contributions. I don't care how you do it, but you're gonna make the difference. So don't yell at me if you don't like this. I don't care. This is what I'm doing. This is my philosophy. This is what I'm trying to achieve. I think he bubbled himself here. I'm not sure why. I wasn't paying attention. I see the healer being low HP. Oh, he blessing a protection the healer. There you go. He's doing the things. I don't know. He's just doing the things. Somehow the healer survived, which is great. I think he kind of he blessed it pretty late. I'm not sure why he blessed himself, because I wasn't paying attention. Maybe he was low HP. But yeah, I'm happy with this. I am happy with this. Let's look at the spells just so I can... Okay, so he used Wisdom, we saw it. He used the Holy Light to heal himself, we saw it. That's all the tank is gonna do, right? So the tank is not doing any off healing. The melee DPS is gonna do some off healing, but not the tank. The only guy he's only gonna heal is himself, or girl, I guess. He used Lay on Hands, we saw it. I don't think there was any chance for Purify. I guess we can look at the spells in the damage meter. No, there were no things to dispel, I don't suppose. Redemption, I guess he was there, so I didn't use it. Obviously, he used that one. He used Blessing of Protection. He's got Devotion Aura on. He used Divine Protection. He used Hammer Justice. He used the Taunt. He used Blessing of Might. He judges. We're gonna see Crusader at... he's only doing Crusader against bosses, so I guess when we fight this boss over here, we're gonna pay attention to it. But he's doing all the things. I don't know. What else is there to do? What else is there to say? He's doing the things. I think I had the pet growl on cooldown, I think. And the reason why I did that, even though it may seem counterproductive, if you have a tank, why should the pet growl on cooldown? It's very simple. Because growl is not a taunt. Growl adds a flat amount of threat. So if you... Look, the damage of the pet, or... forget about the damage. The threat generation of the pet overall, like in general, is pretty low. So the only way for him to even be remotely close to be able to tank anything is for him to growl all the time. If he does not growl all the time, and let's say he wanted to take aggro off of... Let's say it was only the hunter and the pet, and the hunter wanted to kill one mob. If the pet would not growl on cooldown, the hunter would just pull aggro and never let it go. It would be impossible, right? So he needs to growl on cooldown. He needs to, let's say, in a sense, preemptively taunt, right? Which is why, maybe this is why he's like off tanking, because he's growling all the time and he's taking aggro for the tank. I think the tank should not really be concerned about this. I need to look... actually, let me put it on the to-do list for the next video. Check if the tank is trying hard to get aggro of Hunter Pet. If he's not, I'm super okay with it. I have no problem. If he is, as in if he taunts, maybe a problem. I don't know. It's very debatable. Like, again, it's like many with many other things. It's very, very discussable. I don't know. Let's see if he's using. I want to see if he's judging Crusader against the boss, even though he's busy with fighting these other guys. So it's kind of questionable. I guess he didn't, but it's hard to see. I guess we could just respawn the boss, just so I don't die stupid. I don't care about this guy. Let's just respawn the boss because I want to see with my own 2 eyes. Do I have a macro for this? Yes. This guy. Go. He's probably gonna judge. Yeah, there we go. Seal of the Crusader, and he's gonna judge it once it comes off of cooldown. Obviously, yeah, he's gonna. Yeah, he judged it. Obviously, the guy is gonna beat that. But you know, what can I do? This is kind of the part where, because the boss don't have situational awareness, by which I mean, could I write enough code where he would know to instead, so out of combat, what does he do? He just preemptively buffs himself with Seal of Righteousness, right, all the time, just so he has it active. Could I write enough code where he could know that, hey, I'm about to fight some boss, I should Crusader or whatever? Yes. Does it really make the difference? As in, is it so important to write that code that would literally, is it life and death? Like, no, it's really just not that important. It's like a little, it would be a little optimization, let's call it, but the cost of that optimization would be much more difficult to write code, and much well, not necessarily more difficult to write code, maybe like half an hour of work, but just the code itself would be more difficult to understand. Not for myself, but if you know, Emil is working on the project, and if anybody else will work on this project in the future, you know, I'm not gonna die with this code in my lap. Maybe we'll make it public at some point, I don't know. Anyway, that's not the point. You know, it just makes it easier to understand the code. And for the DPC, we literally deleted all the code. Well, not deleted because it didn't exist to begin with, but we started from zero, man, from zero. We wrote everything, we restructured the whole project. I tried very hard to make the code much more efficient, not just in performance wise, but in readability, right, and maintainability, because it's very hard. You see, even now I have the code here, and it would take me some time to find something. And I know by heart where everything is. I don't remember all the conditions for all the poops in the world, obviously, because it's you know, thousands and thousands of thousands of lines. But I try to make it much more accessible to find what you're looking for and read it and to understand what's going on here. And even so, even after I'm done with all of this, I'm just gonna go all over, like soon after we're doing these dungeons, I'm gonna go over all the jazz from the start and just try to add more comments and try to make it even more readable and understandable, because it's very, very important. On vanilla, I try to min-max so hard and try to do them, all the poopy things, even the things that, you know, it's like maybe it makes 1% difference or something like that, but it made it so complicated, dude. It's so complicated that even for me, if I go back and try to understand the vanilla code, it takes me a little bit of time to reacclimate myself to what the fuck was I trying to do there. And just, that's a very good point overall. Like, what the fuck was I trying to do there? Because it's hard to re-understand what the fuck I was trying to do there. And on TBC, I just want to add more comments, more structure, more just easier to understand code. for myself as well. So when I have an issue, I can understand. Oh, it's an issue with buffing. Oh, it's an issue with the paladin. It's an issue. I just know where to go. I'm gonna have comments saying this is why I put this condition. This is why I put that condition. This is why this was necessary. Because a lot of the time when I go back and I try to understand why did I use this certain condition, can I just remove it? I don't know. Who the hell knows? I wrote code 3 years ago. I think I remember. If I have 50,000 lines of code, I remember what the hell I wanted to do in every single one of them. Come on, man. So that's kind of the hard part, I would say. Just trying to find ways to optimize, first of all, for them to be more efficient in resources that they consume, let's say. So they use more efficient structure, more caching, more maps, more all the jazz. And yeah, I think it's better, the TBC project, than the vanilla one. We need to go back and redo the vanilla one at some point, but not anytime soon. Maybe after we're finished with the Wrath of the Lich King one. I don't know, sometimes over the years, because you see, it's a stupid amount of work to have to write all of this from scratch. It's quite a lot. It really is. But we're gonna do it at some point. We're gonna get it done. Maybe leave something behind, who knows. We'll see. Another big pull. Yeah, the pet is like, yeah, who do I go after? Yeah, get this guy off him. Get that guy off him. Yep, he's attacking the pet, and pet is like, I'm happy with that. Let's get this guy off him now. Because he's going after the hunter, right? And the pet died. Oh well. But I'm surprised they're still alive, right? So the healer there managed to save the hunter, barely. I mean, the Paladin is trying. I mean, he's taunting on cooldown, so it's not like he's not trying. But he doesn't have consecration, so it is what it is. You get what you pay for, bruh. Get higher level. But yeah, they're doing the things. They're doing the things. What can I say? They're doing the damn things. What the fuck did he... Oh, he did Symbol of Hope. You're fired! No! I was praising you and you fucked up. Damn. I coded the ratios, but I don't think he should have used it there. I think I should put some extra conditions to kind of see... Yeah. He should check to see how many enemies are in combat, and don't do it when he's like one guy left, bro. What's wrong with you? You're fired. Sorry, actually, well, let's kill some more shit while I look at the code. What was that called? Gift of the Naru, or was it called? I can't see it. A Symbol of Hope, I think. Let me see, where is... okay, Symbol of Hope. Yeah. No, he fucked up. Yeah, the condition for Symbol of Hope is just so that the caster has less than 10% mana. I'm not sure. First of all, what if you're a warrior guy? Like, I should put another condition here and say, hey man, make sure you have mana, like you're actually mana type, right? And also make sure that you have how many enemies should we say? Let's say at least 3. Okay, so I said, hey, you should have at least 3 enemies before you use this, right? Like, don't use it. I should probably save, or you're attacking a boss or something, right? So, or the boss is attacking the group, any boss, right? So there's some, either you have more than 3 enemies left, or you're fighting a boss, right? So let's fix that live. Do we try the CC thing again? I think we looked at the CC thing. No, let's not try it. I don't think there's anything special with CC. They don't really have a lot of CCs at this level. Later on, we'll look at some polymorphs and some interesting poopy sens. They don't have a lot of CCs to work with at the moment, so they would just Hammer of Justice or something. Oh, they did use Purify. Look at him. He is purifying. Good job, man. What is he purifying? Let's see. What is it? Dispels. What did he purify? Poison. Okay, sure. It doesn't really matter in this particular dungeon, but when we get to some TBC dungeons, there's some nasty bosses in one of the dungeons that deal very difficult poison damage, very, very big. All right, I'm satisfied with the Paladin tank. Cool. I looked a little bit at over. I think the only fix I did. Well, I said I would look more into something about pet, and I did a little bit of tweaking to the symbol of hope, which I misspelled in the code apparently. Symbol, bruh, with an Y. Cool. Overall, he did good job. I think everybody kind of did what they were supposed to do. I didn't. It was a little bit strange. Okay, it was a little bit strange. Let me just look over it so I don't die stupid. He Blessing of Protection the healer a little bit late, but looking at the code, there's no reason why that should have happened. Okay, so I remember what happened. He Divine Shield himself. I guess I could go back and look at the video to see if he was low HP or not. If he was, I mean, he's supposed to have below 10% HP, right? So maybe he was below 10% HP. I saw him divining himself, and after that, when all the mobs went on the healer, obviously, he then bubbled the healer. So I was probably correct. Yeah, I don't know. It's fine. Thanks for watching. Next time we'll look at the Paladin healer.